What's up, guys? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Married to Medicine. This is season 11, episode, I want to say 12, but if I'm wrong, it'll be correct in the description box below. And let me say this, girl, I'm so annoyed. I am so annoyed because that was a stunt. Oh my gosh. This was the perfect example of when you try to play housewives games, it doesn't work if it's not on a housewife show. Okay? But let's get into the video. So y'all know sometimes before we get into the review, we get a little spicy, just a little bit. And I just got a few things to talk to y'all about. So let's get into it. So first up, let's talk about Dr. Heavenly. So she been getting dragged through the mud, I want to say since Sunday. Yeah, since Sunday night or Saturday night because of some disparaging, ignorant, some people consider it homophobic comments about gay men. I talked about my feelings about what she said on Sunday's The Drama video. I'll put the thumbnail on the screen. If you would like to know my thoughts about it, please check that video out. I'll probably put the link to it in the description box below. And y'all do know I try my best to timestamp my videos. So just go to the Married to Medicine timestamp. So she has been catching a lot of flack for what she said. And she actually apologized on her YouTube channel. And then she also apologized on Twitter. So I'm going to play the clip that she posted on her YouTube channel by way of the Bravo Shade Room. And they said this: Dr. Heavenly shares an emotional apology for the statement about gay men. So let me play that for you, and then I'll read what she put on Twitter.
I love y'all. I'm just emotional right now because and again, let me apologize for what I said before. I made a lot of people feel uncomfortable about something I made, and it was mistaken. And I want to say I apologize. It was an ignorant statement I made about, being a real man, or whatever. I want to apologize for that again and again. Y'all know, if y'all know me, y'all know I didn't mean anything by it, but it doesn't take away from somebody I might have hurt their feelings. So I will apologize for that again and again and again. I was wrong. That was an ignorant statement. And I recant that whole thing. I love y'all.
So like I said, Dr. Heavenly also apologized on Twitter. So a Twitter user by the name of Jerome Trammell, I think he has a relationship with Dr. Heavenly. He said this. He said, gay men are not synonymous with soft, BICTH, or unreal men. People are still attempting to define a real man based on his sexual orientation or whether he is feminine or not. I don't care how many LGBTQ plus friends or fans you have. That implies you should definitely know better. He goes on to say, my initial response was to call her, but it is not always our responsibility to show grace and educate privately when it comes to public disrespect. Even our faves can make mistakes and need to be corrected. So Heavenly quote tweeted him by saying, I'm with you. I apologize. It was an ignorant statement. I'm a grown A woman and I can admit when I am wrong. I didn't mean it that way. So I just want to say this before I share my thoughts. I am a black, straight woman. Okay. I don't have the right to accept an apology for the community that is defended by Heavenly statements. Okay. So I just want to say that before I give my commentary. What I can say is I do like the fact that Heavenly apologized on her YouTube and on Twitter because I feel like those are the places I see her where she's the most visible. I also feel like if you're going to disrespect somebody publicly, you should apologize publicly. Now, it does seem like she's remorseful, but again, I can't accept her apology because I'm not the community that she offended. Her statement was very ignorant and was disrespectful, and a lot of people felt like it was homophobic. What I will say is I don't think Heavenly is a bad person, but she does hold a lot of ignorant statements that a lot of people have about men that are gay. but that doesn't make their statements or these opinions correct or right. And if you're going to voice them, you should be prepared for the backlash that's awaiting you. And it does seem like she is kind of shaken by this. So hopefully this will make Heavenly actually reevaluate how she shows up on YouTube and on Twitter. Because what I can say is that's why I don't like, I'm low key scared to go live. Because sometimes when I'm filming, I'll be saying something and then I have to take a moment and be like, ooh, Leah, no, no, no. like no, 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 girl. Like that's borderline, that's disrespectful. And when you're live, it's out there. The moment you say it, you can't edit it out, you can't take it back. The same way with Dr. Jackie, when those statements of what she said resurfaced, people were pissed at her, and rightfully so. But I do think they're learning from this. And the reason why I say that is I feel like if you weren't ashamed or embarrassed or hurt by the words that people are saying about you, you wouldn't come out and apologize. Even if some of us feel like the apologies are weak or half, you know what? If someone apologizes, to a certain extent, they know that what they did was wrong. They might be saying, I'm sorry in the moment to get the heat off of them, but they might actually be sitting with what was said. And I'm hoping that this forces Heavenly to actually sit back and be like, you know what? I should think before I speak. Because Heavenly has said some things where I'm like, girl, that don't make no sense. No, ma'am. And sometimes you just got to take your L and take your lashings, and that's what's happening right now. Now, if you want a perspective from the community that was offended or had choice opinions about what Heavenly said, I would check out Scotty by Nature. He did several videos about what Heavenly said. James Caldwell did a video. Funky Dineva, who is friends with Heavenly, did a video, as well as Rodney the Voice did a video last night. He did a YouTube live and he shared his thoughts. So if you really want to get commentary for the community that was offended or turned off by Heavenly's comments, I definitely think you should check out their channels. So since we're talking about Heavenly, let's move over to a few of her tweets. So she tweeted this the night of the actual episode. One of the tweets was, T was not to blame. She did nothing wrong. Hashtag married to med. So then another person by the name of Jada Cunningham said, why didn't you invite Curtis's mistress? And Heavenly said, I don't think Jackie would have approved. I always give a heads up. And the last tweet was, that scene hurt my heart. Hashtag married to med. Good night. And she was talking about the scene with Gregory and Sweet Tea. Continuing the tweets, a Twitter user by the name of Judgy Judith said this, I actually wish we could get to know this side of her and know more about her as a person, not just the chick that slid into Dr. G's DMs after becoming a fan of the show. Heavenly quote tweeted this person by saying, to be honest, she is a nice girl. This was all pertaining to Sweet Tea. And I get where this person is coming from. I think Sweet Tea, aka Letitia, did herself a disservice by coming on. And honestly, she has only been featured as Gregory's wife. She led with the statement of, I slid into his DMs talking about I could give him what he needs. And then last season was either about the wedding or about her fertility journey. We didn't really get to know her as a person other than she is Gregory's wife, the upgrade from Quad, and she's younger. So hopefully, even though I don't really want her to stay, but after what I saw on this episode, I hope she stays, stack up her money so she can get away from Gregory. But if she continues to stay for next season, maybe we can see more about her life before Gregory and see her friends and her family. So let's move over to what Quad had to say about Sunday's night's episode and the scene that happened between Sweet Tea and Gregory. She said this, watching tonight's episode was by far triggering. God knows I don't miss those days regardless of whatever Letitia has said about me to the public. My heart honestly goes out to her. It is abundantly clear nothing has changed with his behavior. Only the women, the cycle continues. Thank you at K King 8410, we know that's King, for understanding my past and making me feel safe. And all honesty, Gregory did this to himself when it comes to people feeling that way about him, because that scene, it was very uncomfortable. So let's move over to what Sweet Tea had to say on her YouTube channel. So her and Gregory did a YouTube live, And there's currently a couple of the clips going viral. The only one that I want to talk about is this one where it says this: Dr. Gregory speaks about the men in the group embracing King like he's been around for millions of years. They didn't really back me up the way I would have thought. He did not press charges against King. So let me play the clip for you guys.
I mean, you're going to be real pissed about it, and I don't take bullying, it's like, I don't feel like it's cool. And, the guys, they said they were going to handle it, and that didn't work out. So it's just like, I really don't know how to feel about it. Well, I can't stay locked in one emotional state, trying to move on, so there it is.
Do you feel like the men chose his side over yours?
In some ways I do. Yeah.
What's really good is I'm glad that we're able to provide you a platform to speak your truth. And because the show is about the men don't get paid to, they're pretty much the supporting cast members. And no, y'all do when it comes to
I don't think so.
guys.
I don't think so. Like this whole thing with King and all them. I mean, these guys, they went and they embraced this guy like he's been around.
His name is Kurt.
Like he's been around for a million years, and like they know my character. Like I would go and try to blatantly disrespect anybody like that, and then I would take it to violence. I mean, that dude brought a lot of negative energy, yet they're trying to hear his side. I'm like, what the man? What is this? So it's like, if somebody did you like that, you wouldn't feel so cool, but as a man, I think we don't get as sensitive about stuff like that. But I mean, that whole thing was some bullshit. Like all of them fellas, they didn't really back me up the way I would have thought, but at the same time, we did leave the island, so I wasn't there to really get but they already know my side of the story. They know me. They've known me for years. You know what I mean? But
it's hard though, because then Damon says the same thing. You should know me, or you should.
Well, yeah.
It's kind of like, does it seem like the whole season then the men weren't on your side, or were we just? There have been times
that I have been very surprised by the lack of support I've gotten from my
I think that
friends.
You have to understand that, like, some of the men, like, their women are making this money, and so they don't want to go against their.
Honestly, what I feel like is Sweet Tea and Gregory overplayed their hand. They got comfortable thinking that the group was going to ride for them without really checking the temperature of the group now that Quad was back in a full capacity and with a new man. Because honestly, for Gregory to think that the men were going to have his back when they didn't have his back on the sandbar, when he reiterated that he told Quad to shut the F up, you should have read the room and known they weren't going to have your back, especially as the season continued, because they all felt like what you did was wrong. None of them laughed at what you said. None of them dapped you up. They all just looked at you like, for real, man? Why you bringing this up? To me, you did it to yourself. To then reiterate in this sit down that men are not sensitive like women is crazy work, when throughout this whole entire season, the men have been sensitive. You have been sensitive, rightfully so, by the comments Heavenly made about you. Damon was sensitive, and I get where he was coming from about Sweet Tea saying that Heavenly told her that he cheated. And the way that you and King reacted on the sandbar was showing your sensitivity to the words that were thrusted upon you. So to say that men are not sensitive is such a misogynistic take, and also shows how immature you are and how gullible you are to not think that people would be offended by the words that you use. Moving on, let's talk about Sweet Tea. So on her YouTube channel, she was responding to people's comments, and this is what she said. At the Miss Natural, that man is not abusive. People don't know what real relationships are. If you don't like it, kick rocks. My relationship, it is what it is. And here's the thing. I don't have a problem with Sweet Tea defending her relationship, but you can't be mad at what people are perceiving as abusive energy when that is what your husband is showing. Your husband is showing that he does not respect you and that he has no qualms belittling you. And what I fear is going to happen to her is she is going to put herself on an island by herself, because if he does start to cross the line even more, people are going to remind her, girl, you told us to kick rocks when we were pointing out how disrespectful he was towards you. But let's move on into this review. Like I said in the intro, y'all, I'm annoyed. And the main reason why I'm annoyed is because I expected a fight. The way the blog pages online were acting like Gregory and King really was like in a dust up on the sandbar, that is what I was expecting. I expected somebody to get muffed in the face, a body check, somebody get strong arm or wrestled to the ground. Girl, I was expecting season 9 of Bad Girls Club, Megan versus Rima on the beach. Them girls...
Honestly, not now. Bitch!
Was fighting in Mexico, trying to rip each other's faces off in front of everybody. That is what I was expecting. And did I get that? No, I did not. Okay? So I'm just like, nothing happened. And everybody acting like somebody got beat up and nobody got beat up. Gosh, annoyed, okay? So the episode opens up where it left off, where you got Cecil holding on the King, trying to tell him to calm down. Simone's also trying to tell him to calm down because he done took his shirt off. Next thing you know, he breaks free from Cecil. And when I tell you, he charges. I mean, that man ran over there, okay, to get at Gregory. But I think, what's his name? Sheck saw him from behind. Gregory immediately turns around and is like getting ready to like defend himself. And then Sheck pushes King, like strong arms him in the chest. Now, mind you, when I first watched it, I just thought King stopped abruptly on purpose. But then as I went back and watched the episode again, like to take notes and stuff, I realized Sheck pushed him back. So I feel like him getting pushed back kind of snapped King back into reality, where he was like, okay, I don't like this man, but I'm an adult. I need to calm down. Because after Sheck pushed him in his chest, he didn't really go after Gregory. It stopped him. It kind of woke him up to be like, okay, I'm tripping. I'm doing a little too much right about now. All right, I don't want to beat up on this little man. So then, what's it called? Security or production comes behind King and grabs him, like bear hugs him. So then Cecil and another production hand runs over to King, and Sheck is still kind of trying to tell King to calm down. So then Gregory is standing there trying to like defensively trying to defend himself. You then see Steve take Gregory and another production hand walk with Gregory over to the like another side of the sandbar. So now Quad is running up being like, baby, calm down. Baby, calm down. And then Simone, Eugene, and are now over there trying to like calm King down as well. So then you see Sweet Tea is over there where King and everybody else is, and like Quad and Sweet Tea are kind of getting into it because Quad is like, girl, go check up on your man. And I'm like, yeah, why are you over here? You was running like a track star. You put your body in sports mode to come over here and not check up on that man. Go check up on your husband, okay? So then Cecil's like, Sweet Tea, we fine, we got him. Go check up on Gregory, girl. And I'm like, yes. So then Simone comes over there and she like ushers her away to go check up on Gregory. And here's the thing. Here is the thing. Had that been if this group was different, if Quad was a different person, Sweet Tea would have got popped in the face. She got muffed in the mouth. Because why are you over here? My man just tried to fight your man, okay? Are you trying to fight him too? Are you trying to fight me? Because if I was Quad, my defenses would have been up and I would have been ready for whatever. And if this was a different group, a younger group, girl, it'd have been them two fighting on the ground, like tussling with one another. Because I'm like, why are you over here? Why are you over here? So then she walks away and you got production and you also have like Quad and Sheck still trying to calm King down, being like, remember like who you are, all that good stuff. Damon tried to go over there and Heavenly's like, stay yourself right here, daddy. She got his hand and he's like, okay, I'm gonna stay right here. So then you got Eugene trying to talk to King, being like, all of that stuff, they got to pass. King's like, man, F the pass. He did that. And then you see Eugene's like, yeah, F the pass. Quad, don't you want to take him for a walk? Take him for a walk. And I'm like, I don't even think it's about the past anymore. I just feel like King feel like you disrespected him and his lady, and now he want to check you for it, okay? So then you got Eugene and Damon walking, and they both giggling and laughing at the chaos that's happening. Something that I would do, because Eugene was like, I ain't gonna get nowhere with him. Let me go away. So then Quad is asking King, like, what happened? And King is like, well, he told me he was telling you to shut the F up last night. Like, and she was like, what? He was telling me? It was either, it's either he said, shut the F up, or you got a big effing mouth. Either way, he cussed at Quad. And Quad was like, he was talking to me like that, because she didn't even realize he was talking to her like that. That's why I really think that whole vibe check scene was chopped and screwed, because I'm just like, if Quad would have heard it, as drunk as she was, and as hyped as she was, she probably would have turned around and got to cussing him out and something like that. So I'm like, y'all really didn't hear him say that? They flash back to the vibe check game, and they flash back to Gregory saying, you got a big effing mouth. So the king was like, yeah, he said that to you, and he not gonna be talking to you like that. Like, and then Quad was like, he don't need to be talking to no woman like that, to be honest. And she's in her confessional being like, man, how dare you? So then you see Gregory talking to Cecil and Steve, and they like, bro, if this ain't for you, like, you got to remove yourself. They was like, if you got too much going on in your life to be in this kind of predicament where you mess yourself up this way. So then he ends up telling Quad, he not gonna be talking to you like that, and you can say whatever you want to him, and I got you. Mind you, I don't agree. Quad shouldn't be able to say whatever she wants to Gregory, and vice versa. He shouldn't be able to say whatever he wants to Quad. But I'm not gonna lie, if the man that I was dating told me, girl, you can say whatever you want to the man that you just broke up with, and I'ma slide for you, I've been like, oh, we locked in like that. That it would have got me hot. I've been like, oh, okay. Okay, I see you. Okay. So we then see this scene of it was Phaedra. Phaedra sauntering over to Mimi and Sweet Tea on the other side of the sandbar, where Mimi is yelling at Sweet Tea, talking about, this is what they want. They want to come in between your covenant. And I was like, girl, why? First of all, why are you yelling at her like that? Number two, no one cares about her being married to that grumpy, surly old man, okay? No one does. He was being disrespectful, and he disrespected somebody who didn't mind putting hands on him. That's just what it is. No one cares about their marriage falling apart or wanting to be with either person. I'm like, girl, it's giving projection, Mimi. Still like you though, but it feels like there's something going on with you and Steve. Okay. So Phaedra gets over there. She hooks her arm around Sweet Tea's neck. If I was Sweet Tea, I would have pushed her off of me, because you can already tell she's kind of like worked up and trying to calm herself down, and then you touching on her. I've been like, please get off me, please. So she hooks around her, and Sweet Tea's like, why are they starting all this SHIT? So then Mimi hugs onto her. Then Contessa walks over there and hugs up onto her. And while they're hugging on her, she's like, I'm ready to go home. And then next thing you know, someone's like, okay, please, like I think Contessa started praying, where she's like, calm her down, Lord. Lord, she's surrounded by love. Lord, she's safe. And I mean, they're just screaming and yelling at her. And you could tell it's a lot for Sweet Tea. And then next thing you know, Phaedra just drops and starts speaking in tongues. Shoulda been a Honda, Toyota, a Kia. I was like, girl, Mitsubishi. I said, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, the way that Toya was looking at them with that display, I was Toya. Just like, is this what we really doing? Mind you, you speaking in tongues and carrying on and screaming and praying to the Lord, wasting their time, because nothing happened. Nobody got hands put on them. It'd be totally different if King was on top of Gregory just wailing, or Gregory had muffed King in the mouth, but none of that happened. So all of this just feels like we're wasting time, and we're doing this for show. And it's mighty convenient that everybody, because people were upset that I said that, and I don't care, because it's mighty convenient that all of a sudden Phaedra's speaking in tongues and she hearing the Lord's voices and all of that stuff. But yet when Jackie prayed for Quad when they were in Florida, she was rolling her eyes at that table and was like, what more does Quad want from us? With a stank face and a stank attitude. But I'm supposed to feel like she tapped into the Lord. Also, I have been taught by both sides of my family, you don't let everybody pray over you, even when you in church, because you don't know who they praying to and what they praying for. So I'm just like, I would not let Phaedra Parks pray over me. No way, no how, no ma'am. So Toya is just looking at them. You got Eugene and Damon off to the side, and Eugene is like, she's speaking in tongues? And Damon's like, I think so. And Eugene is like, she done lost her mind. He was like, people have lost their minds. And Damon starts laughing. I started laughing. Then you have Heavenly, Jackie, and Simone being like, Are they really speaking in tongues? Like, everyone is just sitting there just confused. Toya just looking at them like this with her drink, like, oh my God. Like, what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? And I was just like, this is shenanigans. And then you have Simone in her confessional being like, Phaedra is speaking in tongues and God is talking to her, but he's not talking to her about her relationship with Shireen and Apollo. Now, Simone, you know I love you, girl. You know you my fave on this show, but hush. That type of commentary wasn't needed for this moment, even though I got where you're coming from, okay? That's why I think that lady playing. I think she playing. So then you see Apollo and Shireen, and Apollo's like, I've known that lady since 1997. She ain't never done nothing like that in my life. I said, see, this is shenanigans. So then we get this scene of Phaedra, Sweet Tea, and Gregory, and someone asked him, so what happened? And he said he wanted me, why'd y'all almost get into a fight? He said that King wanted him to apologize, and he did. And I said, oh, so we're lying now, because you're blatantly lying. He asked you to apologize, and you said we both need to apologize, like both parties. You said both parties owe each other an apology. We didn't see you tell Quad, I'm sorry. We didn't see you tell King, I'm sorry. So we lying. So we just blatantly lying. Because yes, that man asked you to apologize, and no, you did not apologize to Quad. So everyone is still kind of reeling from what's happening. And next thing you know, we see everyone trying to get ready to prepare to get on the boat. And pretty much Gregory was like, he tells Sweet Tea, it's my fault that I put you into this situation with like everyone getting all worked up. She's like, she ready to go home. She was like, we should just go home so we could go home and do this, get into some sexy time. I said, okay, sexy time. And she was like, I could do that thing you like. I said, all right. So then they end up separating the group because they go on two different boats instead of one boat like they did the first time. And so Simone and Cecil are like, at this point, we need to put everybody on separate boats because somebody might be man overboard. Like, we ain't got time. I said, they're on two different boats. So on boat one, it's everybody except for Phaedra, Shaq, Gregory, and T. They're on boat two. So on boat one, you see Jackie and King talking, and she's trying to figure out, like, is he okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. I just don't want to be around that man no more. You know, there just comes a point where you just don't take the disrespect. And so Jackie's trying to make a joke about it, just being like, you know, well, I don't want you to get in trouble. Maybe you and Quad need to work on what number y'all on this week. And he laughs about it. You then see Curtis and Scott talking, where Scott is just like, man, that was crazy. We ain't never had nothing crazy like that happen before. And Curtis ends up saying, I hate that happened, you know, with this group, you know, like, especially between those two men, like, that ain't never happened. You then see Contessa and Heavenly talk, which I thought was kind of surprising that they were able to be, like, cordial with each other. So Contessa ends up asking Heavenly, like, are you okay? And Heavenly's like, I'm fine, I'm good. And she ends up saying, like, why is it so deep between you and T? And Heavenly ends up being like, because that girl is volatile. I said, girl, pot me kettle. Pot meat kettle. Okay, girl, y'all both are volatile. But she's just like, I just can't take her with always yelling at everybody, which I was like, you do that, Heavenly. But also the whole pulling away and jerking. And Heavenly has mentioned that multiple times. She even said that when the whole situation happened between her and Sweet Tea on the beach when she fell into the water, she said that Sweet Tea shoved Simone, and Simone was like, girl, don't shove me. But I think that lends to what Sweet Tea said about her and Quad getting into it and them chest bumping each other, because it reminds me of what happened last season with her twin sister at the bachelorette party when she got worked up about them having to pay more money, and it seemed like the both of them were about to get into a fight, and everyone was like, their sisters, let them handle it, and we all kind of felt like maybe they was about to fight one another. So I can see her being very handsy. So then Contessa ends up saying, like, I feel like everybody kind of just needs to give her a little bit of grace. And they were like, she's very sweet, but she does lose her temper. And Heavenly's like, no, she is a nice girl. So then Contessa says in her confessional, I think she's in this new group and the girls need to give her a little bit more grace. But also she says she's taking hormones to get pregnant. And on one hand, I see where Contessa is coming from, but I feel like Sweet Tea right now is like self-isolating herself, because based off the antics of what she's done online, it's like, if you want to be on this show, you don't call out your allies. Toya has been advocating for you and you called her out. Right now, it seems like the only two people you have is Mimi and Contessa, when it's like you could have had 3 people. It's like you're trying to self-sabotage right now. And I also feel like her constantly interjecting when people are arguing with people is also kind of off-putting as well. Like when they were at the Key West trip, is it Key? No, they in Key West right now. When they were at the Dude Ranch, when Contessa and Heavenly were fighting, Sweet Tea didn't need to be a part of that. Granted, I know she wanted to get a lick in, but it was like, girl, you don't need to be a part of that. You and that lady already argued the episode before at the saloon. Like, let Contessa have this right here. And although I don't think she's wrong for asking a question, being like, who invited you to Shireen and Apollo? But it feels kind of like, girl, it's out of place that you're caping for Phaedra, the same person who brought Quad to your bachelorette party. Like, why do you even want to ask Heavenly anything when she's been stank towards you for so long? I wouldn't ask that lady nothing. You already know who invited her. There was no need for you to ask her that question. So then on the second boat, you end up seeing Sweet Tea tell Shek, I know you weren't expecting any of that. He was like, no, I was not expecting that. He was like, I like to have fun without the drama. And then Sweet Tea ends up explaining how, her and Heavenly got into it because I asked, like, why was Shireen and Apollo here, and then she want to yell at me, and she was like, I ain't want to beat up a senior citizen, I wasn't gonna do that. And she was like, I ain't never really been in a fight. And see, the thing about Sweet Tea is the ages digs don't work for you, girl, when the man you sitting next to you has an AARP card. He getting the early bird special, okay? He's getting the senior citizen discount. So, like, trying to throw a dig like, oh, she old and I ain't want to beat her up. The man you sleep with is that could be old enough to be your daddy. I think people keep telling me, Leah, he's older than her daddy. So you're throwing these digs out there and they don't land. It actually makes you look stupid because the man you sleeping with is 23 years older than you, girl. Stop it. Stop. So then they start talking about Shek and Phaedra and their relationship, and Phaedra's like, why does it matter? And here's the thing. I think Phaedra knew Apollo. Phaedra knew for a fact Apollo was coming. She just didn't know Shireen was coming. But she invited Shek because she didn't want to be on the trip without somebody there to play in Apollo's face. Because I know for a fact she knew that Shek and Apollo know each other. I keep telling y'all, it was really random when that man told her on their first date, I know your husband. And then to have him be at the speed dating event and he was the only man there that was in his 30s and everybody else was 40 and 50 years old and she's the only cougar. You're not going to make me feel bad for Phaedra. Can I call the ladies out and say that bringing Apollo was wrong? Yeah, it was wrong. Why was he there in the first place? But like I said beforehand, if Phaedra would have never brought Apollo to the show at the reunion last season, there would be no need for Apollo to be here. You pretty much gave production the okay to reach out to Apollo and Shireen to be a part of the show when you pretty much allowed him to come to the reunion. You invited him. You pulled him out because you realized that you didn't really have you weren't a good display. Like, you didn't have a good storyline last season. You lied about being with that African doctor and you ain't have nothing else for us. So I don't feel bad for her. Do I think it was wrong that he was there? Yeah. Like, he shouldn't be there. Like, why he here? And I didn't understand why Simone and Heavenly, more so Heavenly, was apologizing to Shireen and Apollo about Shek being there. I do agree with Heavenly that Phaedra knew Apollo was coming and she wanted to play in Apollo's face, so she invited Shek. That's it. That's all. Apollo said that Phaedra wanted to have a one-on-one conversation. No, he wanted to have a one-on-one conversation with Phaedra, but she paid him dust, and I would pay him dust as well. What we got to talk about after that display, and if what Heavenly is saying is true, and Sweet Tea about how Shireen disrespected her and they sons, I wouldn't want to speak to you either. We ain't got nothing to talk about, bro. So then they talk about Phaedra and how they were asking about her placement in the group. Like, they thought Phaedra was going to open up more to them, but she hasn't done so. And he brings up how, I thought you guys welcomed her with open arms, but he was like, I feel like it's the battle of the minds right now. The law field versus the medical field. And that's what Simone said. We all boss bitches here. Ain't nobody about to play in our faces. So then we leave that scene. They hug them and they go on about their way. They end up going to Miami. We see Jackie go check on Phaedra. Phaedra basically tells Jackie she leaving, and Jackie's like, what, you really leaving? And Phaedra's like, yeah, I'm leaving. So then Phaedra sends Shek out the room so they can have a conversation. Phaedra basically says that she's disappointed in Jackie, and Jackie's like, girl, what did I do? I was under the impression that you knew Apollo was coming. And mind you, you don't hear or see Phaedra say, no, I didn't know. You knew that man was coming. That's why I'm not gonna feel bad for her. You knew that man was coming. The same Phaedra who was okay with like escorting Sweet Tea around Quad and pretty much was okay with shoving Quad out the group and ushering Sweet Tea in, I'm supposed to feel bad for? I'm supposed to feel bad for that Phaedra. Okay. Like I said, Apollo being there, them inviting Apollo to the trip was wrong. It was, but I don't feel bad for Phaedra. So then she's mad at Jackie, and I'm just like, how are you mad at Jackie, the person that didn't know that he was coming? Like, she didn't know he was coming until he got to the trip. So then basically Phaedra says, like, this isn't what I expected from this group. Y'all can play in somebody's face, but you ain't gonna play in mine, and I don't play them type of mean girl games. Which is wild statement for Phaedra to make. The same Phaedra who was digging up into Nene's past, trying to prove that she knew Nene when Nene was ignoring her, talking to her family members that Nene doesn't even have a relationship with. The same Phaedra who was perpetuating a rumor about Candy wanting to drug somebody and take him to her dungeon. The same Phaedra who allegedly they said was trying to stop Candy and Todd from getting the right permits for their restaurants. The same Phaedra who supported somebody and was representing someone who was suing Candy. The same Phaedra who was in cahoots with Candy and, with Candy when Kenya was on the outs with the group and invited Walter to her house, where you knew Kenya and Walter broke up and you thought it was funny that she was uncomfortable around that man. That's the Phaedra I'm supposed to feel sorry for. The same Phaedra who's saying I'm not a mean girl. Phaedra is a mean girl. The cast, like, majority, if not everybody on reality TV has a mean streak in them and succumbs to mean girl antics. These women have done messed up things to each other. But to act like you're on this pedestal, Miss Phaedra Parks, is laughable. It is comical. And her fans, y'all kill me acting like this lady gives such great TV when all y'all can quote is that rehearsed read she gave Kenya. And I'm not even a Kenya stan. I'm not even Team Twirl. I just started liking Kenya like 2 years ago, okay? But you can't tell me that Phaedra is that great of TV, because she not. She just not. Saying that she doesn't think the ladies are mean girls. They're just honest debaters. And she also says that she thought Phaedra was going to come back to the group stronger and express to them how she felt like she wasn't supported. And I said, Jackie, sit this one out, because you the same one who was getting all up in your chest about going to Hilton Head yesterday. Well, last season, mainly because that's where Curtis cheated on you. So I wouldn't say that. But the truth of the matter is, Phaedra thought she was going to be able to play housewife games with the MarriedToMedicine girls, and it backfired. The same way the MarriedToMedicine girls thought they was going to be able to pull a housewife stunt, and it backfired tremendously. Like, it is what it is. That's just what it is. So she leaves on a private jet, her and Shek. We already found out that Gregory and Sweet Tea left. But I was like, Sweet Tea, that should let you know what Phaedra thinks of you. Because the fact that she couldn't even offer you a seat in the private jet and y'all was all going back to Atlanta says a lot. So we see the group split up. The girls go to this rum tasting. The boys go do like cigar rolling and smoking and all of that stuff. So the girls are down at the bar. And as they're driving to the place, Simone lets it be known that, Phaedra was leaving and Sweet Tea and Gregory are gone as well. Toya's like, she understands, because why was Apollo here? I would leave too. They also joke about Heavenly falling in the ocean, that's funny. That was funny. So they get to the bar place. They're all drinking, laughing. They're asking Mimi, how does she think about what happened? And she was like, it was memorable. Simone said it was so chaotic, because she was like, there were 4 different fights happening all at once. And the most devastating thing about it was Gregory and Gregory and King fighting. Like, she was devastated by what happened. So then Simone lets it be known that Phaedra said that they were a group of mean girls, that she had a conversation with Jackie and said that we were a group of mean girls and that she don't know if she's going to return to this group. And Jackie reiterates saying that she left and she's upset and she's not sure she wants to rejoin the group. And so Toya's like, she don't want to rejoin y'all. And they were like, no, girl, the group. And they're like, she done with us like that? And they're pretty much like, yeah. So then Toya's like, well, I texted her, and then she was like, well, she ain't text me back because that's probably why she's on the plane. And if they no, and then Quad was like, girl, she on a private jet, she could text you. And so Simone said, you know what, I'm gonna be honest, I thought Phaedra had a better poker face, and to be quite frankly, I'm not gonna miss her because Phaedra thought she was above them, and she did. I think Phaedra came in there, and the women helped last season. I think they all were singing Phaedra's praises because of her being like this Bravo legacy character. She was on Real Housewives of Atlanta, and maybe the girls thought that the ratings were going to go up and they were going to get fresh eyes on the show with Phaedra, but Phaedra did not produce and the ratings actually went down. So then they started to be like, well, girl, you didn't really produce anything last season, so we're going to make you work this season. And it just didn't work out for them. It didn't work out for Phaedra. It didn't work out for them. So pretty much they're just like, everyone's just kind of like, well, it is what it is at this point. And it is. And I think it had Phaedra not had the housewives call her. Because the thing about it, had Kenya not did what she did and they needed somebody to help them with the show, Phaedra would have been forced to like stick with this group. But the fact that she got the call from Bravo that she could get back on Roa where she wanted to be, she slid herself all the way over there, pretty much. That's pretty much what it is. So then the men were at the cigar bar. So they're at the cigar bar rolling cigars. They find out again that Gregory, Phaedra, Sheck, and Sweet Tea left. While they're sitting there, you see some of the men rolling cigars and the other men, you know, sitting there just talking. And so Curtis, Scott, Damon, and King are sitting there just talking, and they're all talking about how crazy it was the other day. King was like, the whole situation really didn't have nothing to do with like unrequited feelings or anything like that. It was all about being disrespectful. Like he was being disrespectful, and they was like, well, yeah, they can understand. And then Damon said, you know, I think we're all good people, and some of us like cross the line at times. And then this is not Gregory, Damon. Damon says in his confessional with Heavenly, I stand with King because you say something disrespectful to my wife, I'm gonna say something to you. I'm gonna check you. And I feel like anybody would. Like, if you are married to somebody or you're dating somebody and you have strong feelings about them and somebody disrespects them, you're probably going to disrespect the person back, especially if it's the opposite sex. So Damon is rocking with King. We then see the men switch spots and they ask Steven how he feels about what happened. And he was like, yesterday was crazy. He said, I ain't never seen nothing like that. He was like, and they're like, yeah, neither have we. We ain't never seen nothing like that. Steven even said in the car when they were on their way to the place that he was like, I've been on 3 different NFL teams and I ain't never seen fights break out like that at different times before. Never. The next thing we see is everyone back in their hotel rooms getting prepared to do this lemon squeeze party. They're all supposed to wear yellow. So Scott and Contessa are talking, and Scott is noticing that Heavenly and Contessa have been talking, and Contessa's like, you know, yeah, it was kind of like, it's kind of crazy that we're being cordial with each other. And he was like, y'all trauma bonded. And said pretty much that was a traumatic situation for everybody. Then we get to Toya and Eugene, and Toya's like, can we skip this? Can we just do something else? And he's like, no, we got to go to this couples thing. And he was like, I'm tired of them trying to tell us what to do in our relationships and everybody acting like they know what they doing in theirs. Like, I don't want to go. I want to go. Nothing we have done for the past 2 days has been positive, okay, as it pertains to like couples being together. And so then in the confessional, Eugene is like, I just feel like you had a little bit too much rum, and that's why you upset. And she was like, probably, I'm tired and I don't want to be around everybody like that. I'm good on everybody. So then while the couples pile into the Sprinter, we actually see in the car that has Mimi, Steve, Scott, and Contessa, they call Sweet Tea. And so they ask Sweet Tea and Gregory how they doing. Gregory ends up explaining what happened again, where he said, you know, I was trying to resolve the conflict, and you know, that boy and I engaged in, he was like, I was trying to be friendly with him, and he told me like he was being disrespectful to me. Like, I ain't mean no disrespect around him. I don't want to be around him. Like, that's why we decided to go home. And so Contessa ends up saying, even though that Sweet Tea and Gregory are not here, I still think it's right that we hear their side of the story. Even if we think it's wrong, they should be able to voice their opinions. And I do agree, like, you know, everybody should be able to voice their opinions, especially if they were in the altercation. But I'm starting to feel like everyone's starting to feel like Gregory is wrong. But they trying to be fair. So they end up saying like, well, we just wanted to call to make sure you guys were okay and to let you know, like, we still, got your back and we thinking of you. So at the lemon squeeze situation, Steven and Mimi bring the lemon bowl that they paid $5,000 for at the Met Gala or the Med Gala or whatever. And so, Simone keeps saying that like this is a group that you can count on. We have our faults, we have our flaws, but when you're in a bind, we all got you. And everyone's pretty much like, yeah, I agree. So Mimi brings out the bowl with the lemons, and so they are like, this bowl has been many a things to us, and we're gonna use it today and put it to good use. So they all sit down. Cecil over there getting on Simone's nerves, over there ad-libbing, and Simone is not, she don't think it's funny. So they basically, the first question is like, what do you think about exes being a part of the group? And Mimi basically said, I'm okay with exes being a part of the group when they have done the work. And you could kind of tell Quad is irritated with that response. She was like, if the work hasn't been done where you forgive yourself for putting yourself in that situation or forgive yourself from the past trauma, then no, you should not be a part of the group. And so in the confessional, Mimi basically says, do I think Quad and Gregory have done the work? No, I haven't. I don't think they have done the work with each other. So then they give the bowl to Jackie, and Jackie basically says, I wouldn't be comfortable with the ex being around. And I'm like, okay, girl. And see, I get where everyone's saying, like, if y'all weren't okay with exes being brought back into the group and you wouldn't want it done to you, then why did y'all do it to Quad? Gregory being in the group or not, it was like it wasn't needed and it shouldn't have been done. So then I think the bowl then gets passed to, what's her name? To Toya, and everyone's like, okay, here we go. And Toya is very honest. She was like, what Letitia and Gregory did was wrong. But we sitting here acting like we're not wrong, y'all. We're wrong. We're trying to say that we're not mean girls, but we have done some really messed up stuff to each other. And, yesterday was yesterday, but we need to look in the mirror. And so they do a montage of everybody saying, like, not everyone, but people saying mean things to each other. They went all the way back to season 2, I think, when Dr. Heavenly joined the group. And then they talk about Quad, where she tried to accuse, what's her name? Toya about, stealing to get the house, and then the whole, like, Quad sleeping with a contractor and everything, and then Contessa and Heavenly getting into it. So they've all done really mean things to each other. So we can't leave out that they're not all mean girls. But they've all done mean things to each other. And Toya was like, you can't keep doing wrong to people and think they're going to take it on the chin. So then Heavenly ends up saying, Toya, thank you for saying the hard shit out loud, because you being for real. And like what you're saying is true. And then next thing you know, Heavenly apologizes to Quad, basically saying, I did not consider your feelings when I brought the exes to the group. And Quad accepts it, and then King ends up saying, this is not a natural environment. This is not what, emotions got involved. And he was like, it is kind of a volatile situation, and pretty much like, we're still working on getting her through what she went through with him, basically. And so he was basically like, I pretty much like, I'm wrong for what I did the other day. Bringing out how he's like, I'm not close to Dr. Gregory, but I do feel like his feelings are valid. So then Quad interjects and ends up saying, like, I don't mean to cut you off, but I feel like if you would put yourself in my place, you would get clarity. And Eugene's like, I don't really need any clarity. But the clarity I get is that you and that Quad and Gregory don't need to be in the same place at the same time. So then Contessa chimes in, and she's pretty much like, we talked to Gregory and he still seems very angry, whereas King has calmed down. And so Quad is like, I'm not saying they need to be removed from the group or anything like that. But then Contessa ends up saying that honestly, sometimes when you step away from the group, it allows you to like put things into perspective and cooler heads prevail. Then you can make an assessment. So then Toya says, I'm glad that we're a forgiving type of group. And I'm glad that you had enough faith in us to want to come back to this group. But how do we move forward? So then Curtis ends up saying the same thing. How do we let Gregory, Sweet Tea, and what's his name? And Phaedra know that they are still welcome in this group. Damon interjects and he ends up saying that, like, I think we're all good people. We may have made bad mistakes, but I think you're good people beyond your title. And we just got to find a way to keep moving forward. Damon ends up saying, no, I think Steven ends up being like, that's some wisdom, because, you know, he don't talk all the time, and everyone kind of laughs about it and they joke about it. And then Simone ends up saying, like, you know, from the bottom of my heart, I absolutely, like, love all of y'all and thank y'all for being a part of this trip, but this trip is over now. And then in the confessional, she said this trip definitely, like, snatched off the Band-Aid to a lot of issues that we have in this group. And then they all start taking pictures of the bowl that, you know, Steven paid $5,000 for. I think it's fine for for Eugene and Curtis to bring up, like, how do we let the other people know that they can still be a part of this group? Because I feel like if everyone was being one-sided, people would start complaining about how all the group automatically took Quad and King's side and didn't give Gregory and Sweet Tea a chance. But I feel like in order for the group to move forward will depend on Sweet Tea and Gregory and how they move forward after this. Because it seems like King and Quad are at the point where they're like, cool, like, we just don't have to talk to them people. We're fine where we're at. But Sweet Tea and Gregory are in a different place based off of the preview, you know? And my thing is, like, should they be a part of the group? I don't know. I really don't. Like, I can see them being a part of the group and things being fine. I can see them being not a part of the group and things being fine. You can definitely tell that they both still want to be on TV, and Quad and King definitely want to be on TV. So they're going to have to come to some type of agreement. What I'm going to talk about is Sweet Tea and Gregory. So they're back at home, and, you know, they're trying to check the temperature with each other. She's asking him how he feeling, and he's basically saying he was really annoyed and embarrassed when Quad was saying, I left him. And I'm like, but she did leave you. She left you. Like, this is why I said in my last video, it's resentment. He resents the fact that Quad had enough of the audacity and enough self-confidence in herself to be like, this does not serve me anymore. I'm out of this marriage. Because if you are happy with Sweet Tea, why does it bother you that she said, girl, I left you? So he felt like that was disrespectful. Sweet Tea goes on to say, don't let her push your buttons. So then in the confessional, he ends up being like, my emotions are very high right now, and I don't know. He was just like, I don't know. I just did not. He was like, I wanted to do what was safe, and that's why we got up out of there, pretty much. So while they're sitting down at the kitchen table, he ends up being like, it was a toxic environment, and somebody was going to get hurt. And he was like, if Shaq wasn't there, they was going to fight to the death. And I said, is that really how you felt? Because you was going to get beat up. Like, I was like, I don't really feel like y'all was going to fight to the death like that, sir. But he said they was going to fight to the death, okay? So then Sweet Tea ends up being like, nah, there was enough people around there, and I wasn't going to let that happen to you. And then Gregory's like, do you know him? And she was like, no, I don't know him, but I wasn't going to let anything happen to you. And he's like, so how can you say you don't know what was going to happen? So then she's like, I'm trained. And she's like, I'm combat trained. And that's when we find out that Sweet Tea was in the armed forces. We know she was, but she gives us more history about her being in the Air Force, and she was a medic. And so he ends up being like, you're still a woman. And I said, oh, that's rude. Now, don't get me wrong. There are definitely times where women, no matter how strong you are, probably can't take down certain men. And vice versa. There's probably certain women that men can't take down. But right now, your wife is trying to support you, trying to say, like, bro, I wasn't going to let anything happen to you because I was ready to go to war for you. And instead of just kind of accepting it and being like, baby, no, I wouldn't want you to fight like that, you're basically trying to belittle her and be like, you're a woman. Whatever. And maybe I'm taking it like disrespectful because I have a lot of family members, female family members, who are service members, who have been shipped overseas, who have fought for this country. So I'm just kind of like, to just be like, you're a woman, and kind of like stick up your nose at it, like, that I felt like that was disrespectful. Cause she right in this moment, she's trying to be supportive towards you, and you giving her your ass to kiss. So she's like, I'm combat trained. That's when she talks about the whole Army medic thing and all of that stuff like that. And he's like, you know what, T, you could be so naive sometimes. And she's like, I'm not being naive. Like, why would you say that? And he was like, no, like, you could be so naive. And she's like, Gregory, like, you're not going to get anywhere with me like that, saying stuff to me like that. And he's like, But it's the truth. And so then she starts saying, be quiet, because she know he about to get disrespectful, because he kept going. And then he's like, this man was charging at me and you thought you was going to do something. Do you not understand what I was going through? And she was like, I'm entitled to my opinion, Gregory. Like, don't speak to me that way. So then he gets so frustrated that he gets up from the kitchen table and decides to go upstairs, talking about, I'm trying to tell you that you don't know what that man was capable of, which is true. Like, we don't know how King really gets down. We don't know what he could have did to Sweet Tea, but to just outright be like, and you're just being naive, you're being stupid. And so she's in her confessional being like, I don't understand what you storming out for, because right now I'm the only person that you got. So then she follows him upstairs and shuts the door, and he's like, it's your fault. Don't say to me, that's like, you about to make me go off. And she's like, it's not my fault, Gregory. And he's like, she's like, Gregory, I'm entitled to my opinion. And then he was like, well, you're not making sense. You're not making sense. So then he's like, right. So then she says, right now, I understand it's a sensitive time, and I'm looking out for our team. And he's like, well, understand that I'm upset. And if you're looking out for the team, you should be listening to the leader. So then he says, you're making me hype right now. And then she ends up saying, stop saying that I'm naive. And he said, well, I don't know what you think. Like, he ends up saying, I don't know who you talking to. I don't know who you think you talking to. And then she's like, be quiet, because I think she's starting to realize, bro, we still mic'd up and you still being mad disrespectful. And you know how this is going to read on camera. And so he's like, then stop saying stupid stuff. And I said, see, couldn't be me. Couldn't be me, because the way my mouth is set up, I'd have been like, ain't no way this geriatric, bald-headed, thick-necked man is gonna talk to me like that. My daddy don't even talk to me like that. Okay, my parents don't disrespect me like that. And you think I'm gonna let the man that I lay down with disrespect me like that? Girl, you done lost your mind. I don't know what she saw in him. I don't know what was appealing about this man. Gregory is not even old and sexy. He old and grumpy, stingy, and insecure, because she was trying to be nice to you. And y'all know I do not see it for Weenie Hut Jr., and I think she a goofy goober. But I just thought it was utterly disgusting the way he was talking to her. And I wish King would have popped him in his shit for that. Because why are you being mean to her? She's trying to be in your corner and you're just being nasty for no reason. I understand the whole thing about like, well, he's a man and you don't know what type of time he was on. You're right. She don't know. But in that moment, you could have just been like, baby, no, I didn't want you fighting because I didn't know what type of time he was on. But thank you for saying you had my back. And we could have ended it there. You are embarrassed because you got punked because you tried to punk another grown man. He just outpunked you. And it's like, I feel bad for Sweet Tea, but then all the clips of everybody replaying the way that Gregory used to talk to Quad. And it's like, how can you feel bad for her when it's like you have visual proof of how nasty that man was to that lady? And granted, I know people are like, it was toxicity on both sides, and I can give you that. But me being myself, and I watched that, I wouldn't want to date Quad and I wouldn't want to date Gregory. There's that. You can say that Quad is toxic all you want, but that man is toxic too. And if I was Sweet Tea, there's no way in my 20s, in one of the prime years of my life, that I would want to marry that man. No way. Or want to date him. It ain't like you get access to a little bit of money. It ain't like he balling. Like, he's just talking to you all types of crazy, because I promise you, him talking to her like that on camera, mic'd up, I know when they argue, he get nasty. And I know the way her mouth is set up, she get nasty too. Mess, that's mess, because you could not talk to me like that. You just couldn't. You couldn't. You just couldn't. You just couldn't talk to me like that. I don't like it. I did not like the way he talked to her. And I'm just like, girl, and that's the other thing, girl, it's a blessing you not getting pregnant. That she not getting pregnant by him. And she is lucky that her body is doing what it's doing and being like, no, ma'am. Because he gonna talk to you even more crazy when you get pregnant, and you're not gonna have the mental bandwidth to deal with it, because you're gonna be tired. You just pushed out a human being. Your body gonna be all jacked up, and he gonna be thinking he could talk to you crazy like that, and then probably start talking to the kids crazy. Okay? Because adding a baby to that, and he already can't take the embarrassment and stress, girl, gonna be worse. It's gonna be worse. Because ain't no way if I was pregnant that thick neck shrimp of a man would be talking to me like that. No way. No, ma'am. honestly, I told y'all I don't like Sweet Tea. I don't like Weenie Hut Jr. I don't like the Goofy Goober. But I will allot her to stay on this show so she can stack up her coins and leave that man. I will give her that. Stay on this show long enough where you can save your money and get away from him. Marry somebody in their 40s. Girl, you 34 years old. Marry somebody 44 years old. Have a baby by him and be happy. Be happy. Because ain't no way you need to be having a baby with a 60-year-old with a nasty attitude like that. Okay? Because if it were me, I'd push him down the steps. Just, do like that girl off of Diaries of a Mad Black Woman. Push him into the, what's it called? The jacuzzi. Y'all, that is it. That is all. And as always, remember to be bravely authentic. Definitely hop down in them comments below and subscribe and comment and like the video. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.